Hello, thank you for tuning in to Company Conversations, featuring Adele Myers and dancers and the Sarasota Contemporary Dance Company, presented by the South Miami-Dade Cultural Arts Center. This recorded conversation provides an introduction to the companies and the dancers as they share about the experiences that they have had and the making and inspiration behind the work. It's an opportunity to go behind the scenes and hear directly from the artists as they manage the complexities of emerging from a pandemic and returning to performing in front of live audiences again. What does this look like as we all start to come together and share space again? I'm Annie Hoffman. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Education and Outreach Manager at the South Miami-Dade Cultural Arts Center. This opportunity is brought to you with support from the Miami-Dade County Department of Cultural Affairs, the Board of County Commissioners, and the Office of the Mayor. Our participants will be providing visual descriptions as they introduce themselves for those who are blind or have low vision. My visual description is, I have pale white skin, chin length, straight blonde hair, I'm wearing glasses, a blue top, and behind me is a virtual background of the South Miami-Dade Cultural Arts Center. I would also like to acknowledge that I am in Miami, Florida, which is the traditional land of the Tequesta, the Miccosukee, and the Seminole tribes of Florida. I would now like to introduce Adele Myers, who will be facilitating this conversation today. Thanks.
Thank you, Annie. What a great introduction. I love that. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you. We've been chatting for a while. Just as a reminder for those who might be checking into this conversation, my name is Adele Myers, Artistic Director of Adele Myers and Dancers. And I want to just say that I am thrilled to have company members here from the Sarasota Contemporary Dance Company, also from Adele Myers and Dancers. And I will kick off our conversation with my introduction, and then I will tag someone else. And if you all would do the same, that would be great. And then we'll take it from there. So my name is Adele Myers, again, Artistic Director of Adele Myers and Dancers. And I have pale white skin that often turns quite pink. And I have a white background. I'm wearing hoop earrings. I have red lipstick. My hair is up in a bun, kind of off to the right with a little clip in it. And I have cute little halter top with some flowers on it. I am coming to you from the original lands of the Calusa tribe that is now referred to as Sarasota, Florida. And my preferred pronouns are she, her, and hers. And I will tag Melissa.
Hello, my name is Melissa Rummel and I go by she, her pronouns. I'm a dancer with Sarasota Contemporary Dance. And a little description of myself, I have pretty tan white skin. I have long blonde, dirty blonde hair. I'm currently in my home office right now with a Mind Over Matter sign above my head. And I'm excited to get this conversation going. I would also like to acknowledge that I am in Sarasota, Florida as well, which is from the original tribes of Calusa. And I would like to tag Danielle.
Hello, everyone. I'm Danielle Davis. I use she and her pronouns. I am the guest artist of Adele Myers and Dancers. I am biracial. I have dark, very dark brown hair, very long. I'm wearing a gray, really light gray shirt. And behind me is my very pale studio apartment. But I am coming to you from Miami, Florida, which is the traditional land of the Tequesta and Miccosukee and the Seminole tribes of Florida. Don't know if I pronounced that properly, but I will tag Alondra.
Hello, I'm Alondra Balbuena, dancer with Adele Myers and Dancers. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and my description. I have brown skin, very, very brown skin, dark roots and dyed hair, no glasses. I have a gray tank top, and behind me is gray walls with a white closet and a shelving unit that has lots of junk. And I am in Queens, New York, which is the homeland of the Lenape, Iroquois, and Canarsie people. And I'll tag Juliana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juliana Christina. I go by she, her, hers pronouns. I'm currently in the Sarasota Contemporary Home Studio. Behind me is a red wall. I have dark curly brown hair. My skin is fair. I'm wearing a white tank top. And I would like to recognize that I am in Sarasota, Florida, and that is the traditional land of the Calusa tribe. I will tag Jessica.
Hey everyone, my name is Jessica Obajinsky. I go by she, her pronouns. I have white skin, or light pale, if you would. And I have strawberry blonde hair, very long. Behind me is a green velvet chair, I guess you would say. It's very soft and cozy. And I would also like to acknowledge I am in St. Petersburg. And I would like to acknowledge also the Calusa Tocobaga, if I'm saying that, pronouncing that well, Seminole and Miccosukee tribes. I will tag Say, Lee, and Lamus.
Hi, my name is Say, and I am currently in Sarasota, Florida, the traditional land of Calusa and Tocobaga. I'm sharing the screen with Lamus, who has hair bangs, and I have no hair bang, but I have a high bun, and I'm wearing a white top, but there's a bunch of pictures behind us. We're in our home studio, SCD studio. And I dance for Sarasota Contemporary Dance. Really nice to meet you guys, everyone, virtually, hopefully in person in September. And I will toss it to Lamus.
Hi, my name is Lamus Bolaños Wilmot. I am the artistic director and co-founder of Sarasota Contemporary Dance. My preferred pronouns are she, her. I would describe myself a little café con leche, which is a lot of milk and a little espresso. That's the color of my skin. My hair right now is currently a dark brown up in a bun with bangs, and it has a little tint of red. I'm wearing these fabulous earrings from my friend Rachel Enman, which is the co-founder of the company, and they have lions, and it's a local artist from Alabama. Yeah, check her out. And behind me, at the Sarasota Contemporary lobby area, and we have artwork of Lynn Brucani, actually representing the land, different parts of Florida. And we are on giving honor to the tribes that were here before us, and the land that we are acknowledging today is the Togoba. Did I say it right? Togobaga and Caluso, and we're in Sarasota. Thank you. I'm gonna tag it to Monessa.
Hello, I'm Monessa Sally, and I'm going to my third season with SCD, also known as Sarasota Contemporary Dance Company. And I'm also in Sarasota, a home of the traditional Calusa and Tocobaga people tribe. And I would say, a pecan tan and skin tone. which changes because I get a lot darker in the summer, especially here in Florida. But I have long dreadlocks that I've been growing for 6 years. They are past my shoulder and they are dark brown black. And I do not have glasses. I have on a gold shirt, which is my favorite color. And I am surrounded by pillows on a couch because I'm infatuated with pillows and color. So yeah, I think that's it, right? Oh, and I go by she, her pronouns. And I'm happy to see everyone's faces and hear your voices. Yeah. I'm gonna pass it to sorry. Let's see. Oh, Lauren? Yeah, Lauren.
Thanks, Manessa. I'm Lauren Davidson, and I go by Lauren most of the time. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm actually right in the middle of Miami and Sarasota in Naples. So I kind of feel like I'm a little sandwich right now. And Naples is also the original property of the Calusa Indians, which is kind of interesting that I'm like right in the middle. I feel like I'm feeling both of those stories, lots of those stories. I am pale skin, although I like to say olive sometimes. It's not so olivey. I have some light shining in from the window in front of me, which is lovely, but maybe not good for the recording. I have glasses. I have a top on, which is actually one of my favorite tops. It has bunnies on it. I have my hair sort of half pulled up on the side, half wavy on one side. It is very COVID grown out. And I have 2 necklaces on. And I'm also just super excited to be here. I think these moments are really special. And when we actually make them happen, thank you, Adele. Thank you, Annie and Lamus and everyone that made this happen. It's really special, really special. I think I'm passing it to Kayla.
I think I'm the final introduction here. My name is Kayla. I go by she, her pronouns. I have medium length, wavy, blonde hair, bleached to the nines. I'm wearing this yellow jacket that makes noise when you walk. I am in Miami, Florida as well. And I am on the traditional land of the Tequesta, the Miccosukee, and the tribe and the Seminole tribes of Florida. And I believe that is everything. So I'll pass it over to Adele.
Thank you, Kayla. I love those introductions. I feel like my cheeks hurt already. I know that Eon did just share that he's not able to do the introductions right now. If there's a moment where Eon can pop back on and drops into the chat, that that's an opportunity, we'll take it, but no problem. We welcome you into this conversation in any way. And so just for us to dig in, this is for us, right? This is for us, it's our conversation, and we're just gonna share it, this behind the scenes.
I can drop in, just sorry to pop out of nowhere.
Don't apologize, take it away.
So my name is Eon De La Cruz. I'm gonna go with, I forgot who said pecan brown. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna second that. Right now there's I'm pecan brown and have like a blue and black button-up shirt with a green mask and a green cap. And behind me there's a portrait landscape kind of vibe going on, but I was sitting behind it in front of an elephant earlier, so that's where I will be. Right now, I'm not there, but that's where I will be for the rest of the meeting. And I'm in Miami Beach, so I think that counts as the Tequesta and Miccosukee. I'm not 100% sure of that, so if someone wants to confirm that for me, I would appreciate it. And that is all.
I just want to say confirmed.
Thank you so much, Lauren. Always so knowledgeable.
Lauren brings it. Thank you, Ian, and thank you. And just to reiterate, in case all of you weren't here earlier, so we're working with Ian. He's creating the sound world for us for one of the works that we'll be sharing with you all in September. And then besides that, he is all kinds of other things as an artist. So yeah, really this is just if we were in a studio together and first coming all together as Adele Myers and Dancers and as the Sarasota Contemporary Dance Company for our performances on September 10th through the 12th. I would hope we would be able to, really a nice little plug, huh? I was hoping that, you know, this would be our circle where we would sit down all together on the floor in a circle, introduce ourselves and begin to get to know each other as we're sort of sharing that space. I have found that, interestingly enough, I wondered how intimate Zoom could be. And in some of our company conversations at the beginning of the pandemic, when we couldn't necessarily come together, I think a treasure that I took away was the fact that we actually ended up having some exquisite conversations as a company that for me turned into a great way to begin research. Research by getting to know each other, research about what we're digging into. And so I'm glad that we could gather in this way and begin to have some conversations. Before we dig in super deep, I want to also acknowledge that we've been having conversations about like visible me and invisible me, what we see on the outside, who are we on the inside, you know, our professional accolades, personal, all of that. And one thing that I experienced in a workshop with Camille Brown once was she asked people to describe themselves in 2 words. I've done this, I believe, with some of you. And it's kind of a way to just share that next level of how would you describe yourself in 2 words. And at least in this workshop, she didn't really give us a whole lot of time to think about it, which was interesting. And so that's going to be the next thing that we do here. And I will start, and I'm going to say the same thing I did then because I didn't have any time to think about it, but it turned out to be really true. And that is, I would describe myself as organized chaos. And then I will tag Juliana.
I would probably say timeless and adventurous. I forgot to tag. I'm gonna tag Melissa.
I would have to say easygoing and compassionate. And I will tag Jessica.
Hi, sorry. Thank you for saying the I, Melissa. Pet peeve when people call me Jessica instead of Jessica. I would say loyal, and actually this other one, adventurous, like Juliana called me that today, and I thought it was really sweet. I will tag Lauren.
Okay, I'm gonna go with, as soon as you said it, Adele, I was like, don't keep thinking, don't keep thinking, don't keep thinking. Messy and tender. I tag Alondra.
I'm gonna go with observant and grounded. I'm gonna tag Les Mis.
Rooted mama. I'm gonna tag Say.
Instinctual, competitive, friend of everybody.
That's 3.
Oh,
We'll forgive you. We have to tag somebody. Hold on. Danielle.
I would say mysterious and genuine. I'm going to tag Monessa.
I would say spiritual and sensitive or sensual or sensational, something like that. I'm going to tag Kayla.
I would say that I'm vibrant and comedic, and I will tag Eon, who can write in the chat or respond via voice.
Who hasn't gone yet? Is that everybody? Oh my gosh, that was yes. I love that too, Kayla. I love that you just said that. Okay, I knew I was going to do this, but I'm going to derail for a minute from like my script because I just had this feeling. Okay. So we've been talking in our company about, when you go from like a conversation to an idea, how do you start to explore that creatively, like through our bodies? How do you start to manifest that or embody it? So when you all were talking and sharing this, it's like it's weird. You get this glimpse inside of someone and, like I get feelings and so then how would you all, like, if we were going to explore that, take that kind of to a next creative embodied level, if we were going to introduce ourselves and sort of dig into those two descriptions, what kind of things would you all come up with as a method for exploration? This is really just like kind of sharing process as people who are dance makers, dance doers, like what kind of, like a little brainstorm, what would pop into your head of like, how would you want to explore those descriptions?
I'm going to say something that may be sort of obvious, but improvisation and just granting permission to embody the language, which I think has a lot to do with the way that we were working together, Adele, and the process of using language and movement and that relationship. So yeah, just giving space and permission for that.
Right. Cool. And like, are you thinking like you would think the words, feel the words and take it from there? That's the creative engine.
Yeah, it feels like think first, feel, and then let it go and move, and then see what happens.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
I think I would instinctually go to like what I would do in situations where my competitiveness or my, I don't know, my personalities would come out, and then go from that genuine place, and then maybe exaggerate some movement, or maybe adding a different timing. Like I would go from something that I would truly do in life, like gesturally, and then go from there.
Cool. Thanks, Say. Anyone else wanna pop an idea out there? Or out here?
I'll just share because it feels like it's it is close to how one of the rituals that happened when we all came together as a group, our Adele Myers and Dance. I'm a big like holder of things, holder of objects. And I feel like as dancers, we like have all these things in our dance bags, or like, you know, we're constantly like schlepping 400 bags a day all the time into these like multiple identities. So just kind of speaking on like the two identities or two words that we all chose. I would imagine that we all carry something with us that have to do with those two words. So one of the things that it just had me thinking of the exploration we did at when we all came back together was like pulling our dance bags out of the studio space, and I just asked the dancers via phone, voice, earphones, whatever they had, to create their own, to create who they were in that moment with what they had, and then through voice, through movement, through objects, kind of create this little ritualized, I don't know, I'm calling it like an identity practice, but just for that moment, if you could share kind of like this, like two words or for these 2 minutes. That's sort of my go-to is like the tangible items first, and then a physical exploration with that. And Jessica, I feel like I cut you off because I saw you unmute too, and it's my favorite game on Zoom because it's like, oh no. So, sorry.
It's totally fine. I would like to play that game. Kind of what Kayla said with improvisation, but for me, I feel like I like to, or I would imagine myself like repeating the words and internalizing them, and then seeing what came out in improvisation and movement, and then like repeating some things that felt good and felt, I guess, the most real, the most true. I like to be very truthful in movement, and very intentional. So, and I love this word that you used this week, Adele, of like muddy modern, because I also really dislike muddy modern, and I like to be very clear and intentional. So yeah, using that, like repeating, like you said, in your head of like the word and how do we internalize it and how do we bring the internal outward sort of thing. And say, it popped into my head because Say was calling me in Pinterest for such a funny thing that I usually we sit down and we eat lunch together when we have rehearsal, and she noticed that I don't pick the same chair when I sit down to eat. Like, she has a spot, you know, she's like, doesn't deter if somebody's in her seat. She's like, that's my seat. And like, I like to move around. So she's like, you're very adventurous. And it's not a word that I would call just, you know, moving chairs to eat lunch, but I enjoyed. So I don't know, I pictured when you said that, how would you create movement or generate things? I pictured like playing a game of musical chairs, or I don't know, other kids games like Duck Duck Goose or something where you had to like be constantly switching, or I don't know.
These are great. This feels like the beginning of a rehearsal process. I don't know. I'm just saying, we're about to come together in a theater. There's stuff we're doing on the stage, but we got a lot of time behind the scenes. We could just make something between performing. I'm just saying, I'm getting ideas.
I was going to say something.
Yeah, please.
This is just about the prompt in general, but when you asked us to do this, I think the first thing that came into my head was how other people see me, or how someone else would describe me. And just thinking about how we take on these identities that other people give us through their perception of us. And then today, when you asked us, I'm at home in my own space and I'm settled, and I felt more connected to my description of myself, because I felt like I was truly with myself and in tune with myself. And I just wanted to touch on the difference in the time you asked us in rehearsal and the time now, and what my response was, and how that might have prompted a different movement study in the piece. And yeah, because one of my words was dramatic, and I'm like, a lot of people think I'm dramatic, but I'm really just can be a sensitive person, or it can be silly, and some people it's too much, and some people it's you're over the top or whatever. So yeah, just looking at the words in general, and how we may color ourselves through other people's perceptions versus truly how we see ourselves. And then in that authenticity, then really digging into the movement and abstraction of the movement and the essence of the feelings and the mood and the body language and all that. Because a lot of times we're in the studio, we get dancy and we're like, this is strong, this is mysterious, and it's like, how do we really just dig deeper to portray these ideas and concepts? So yeah.
Yes, Manessa, thanks for sharing that. It's so interesting to think about how the space, literally the physical space you're in, how that impacts the way you consider that question and that prompt. That's really insightful. The way that different spaces impact us and who we're bringing into that space. I think it could be a cool thing just to put this out there when we do come together, when we do sort of have our moment in the studio in a circle, maybe to consider one of these prompts, one of these responses that you all gave as a ritual of coming together for us. Not of making, but of being, expressing, sharing space, our own sort of private way of connecting with one another in time and space when we're there. So if a lot of times ideas like this fall out of my brain between now and then. And so if folks are interested in that, just remind me when we get there, and it'd be a great way to come together. I know not all of us are here from all of the companies. But yeah, it'd be nice, not just company class, but just these other moments of reconnecting. You're also, touching on, again, like the, what it means to gather in space, right? About coming together. And this is where I'd like just to turn the conversation a little bit to hear from you all, just kind of taking it away from who we are individually, but thinking about kind of that moment of when we started talking about rehearsing in person again, just taking it back a little bit. So we're both companies are in creative process for different performance events. For our company, we're preparing repertory for coming up in September. Same thing with Sarasota Contemporary Dance Company and other events as well. But would anybody be willing to just kind of share their personal experiences, feelings, thoughts around what it was like for you in particular as a dancer? That reemergence into space with other people to start rehearsing again. Go for it.
This might be cheesy, but really, like, bottom of my heart, realizing importance of being present, like dance like it's the last time. We had like a show like canceled like after the first night because of the COVID exposure and all, and importance of like being around people and then the interaction and staying moving. And then I think that came to me because before pandemic, it was like going. Okay, this project and the next project and teaching here and then there. Like it was like what is this? Like a wheel. Mm-hmm. Like I'm a hamster in a wheel. And then all of a sudden everything stopped. At first it was great. Oh, I get to rest a little bit, but then realizing, okay, being really present and then being present with the people that are around you, and then yeah, interacting and loving and moving and dancing, and that was my intake.
Yeah, I feel like I really realized how much I enjoy the community aspect of dance and just being present with others. And when it first happened, we took a little break, but then we continued to meet via Zoom and dance, have like master classes and dance via Zoom. But personally, I had such a hard time because I still felt so isolated. Like everybody's on mute, you only hear the teacher, so there's no like interaction with like seeing the other dancers or even talking and communicating throughout that. And I had a really hard time. I was like, man, do I even like to dance? And like, I kind of needed to step away for a little bit because I was like, this is really hard for me to just dance in my kitchen with like a hardwood floor. And then we've been super blessed by being able to come. We came back for a full season this past year, and I know a lot of people didn't have that opportunity to do that. And I feel like it like reignited my passion for dancing again, and just like my love for like being with these other beautiful dancers. So, and yeah, I just feel like overall it just like pushed me in other ways, and just realizing kind of what Say said, that like we're not promised anything. We're not promised tomorrow. We're not promised like to have this forever. Like, so I think it's just taking those moments in and just really being present with each choreographer and with each piece, and not like just giving like half of you, which is kind of like what Say was also saying. As right before the pandemic, I felt like it was go, go, go. And I was just like going through the motions of like being in rehearsal and then teaching, and then I was never focused in. And now I feel like there's a new way of like coming into rehearsal and coming into a space and coming into a performance. It's like being there. So I feel like for me that's been.
And something about texture too, being able to touch and like, and then I don't know, something about texture that I really missed about dancing. Like, and then let me tell you, like we did a lot of like Zoom rehearsal and then Zoom like conditioning, a lot of Zoom stuff. I was like not even 20% there. I was like, okay, let me just get out of the screen. I just really miss the texture and then just interactions and people.
I think for me, what shifted was like a boldness in like advocating for this to stay at flow. I'm gonna get emotional. I don't even get like there was a sense of like they're not going down. It wasn't even about me. I was like this, so, and a boldness in my faith, and like just being like going in, praying around the space, praying over the dancers if they were open to that, anointing them. There was just this boldness that rose, and I feel like I always had that, but I felt like it just reaffirmed my mission for what we were doing here, that it's not about my personal desires. It's really about these people that I have been graciously imparted with just their whole being, their heart, their just everything about them. And like how can I still nurture them during a pandemic? How can I still provide resources in a pandemic? How can they not lose their jobs? How can we still perform? So there was a sense of like I got rooted, I got grounded. I was like, nothing's holding, like, it's just, and having a space during this time, like, I always knew it was a blessing, and I always knew it was such a gift. It was a gift I didn't even know I wanted. It wasn't even like a dream that I even wanted. Like, I didn't even know that I wanted it. And having it, it was just, I believe that it's how we survived, because we could cultivate some sense of safety in our home. So, yeah.
And thank you for doing that, Lemus. I felt such a deeper appreciation for what you've created and what I had a desire to get back to. the whole time during the pandemic. I teach Pilates on my days off of the company, but the true joy that I craved was being back in the studio, and that's all I wanted to do. And it was kind of that realization of like, how do I do less? Because this hamster wheel, even now, we went from 0 to 100 so quickly, and I keep reminding myself of like, when I was in lockdown, all I wanted to do was be in the studio with my family and just live in it. And I didn't want to teach any Pilates whatsoever. And I keep having to remind myself now, like, how do I do less of that and do more of what brings me the most joy? Because it can be taken away. And we had that harsh reality of like what it's like to be without. So yeah, very, very humbled and appreciative of what we have, and that I get to live in joy for my job, and it's wonderful.
First, I just want to say how like lovely it is to hear how you, Lamus, have put heart and soul into a physical space, but it's also, I would imagine it's your own like heart into the work that you're doing too. So to see it physicalized into an actual space is really beautiful. Um, I don't know. And just like from afar, watching what you do and watching what your amazing dancers do, it's nice to hear like, I don't know. Sometimes I think we talk a lot about the transparency of the dance field too. Like we never really talk about how hard the work is to go into it. And it's nice to be able to also hear that like, we don't have to be so binary clearly about most things, that it can be like a shit ton of work, and it can also be like amazing like bliss and joy and love and what you do. And most of the times I think we know it as movers and as makers, that the two go hand in hand, but to hear it out loud too is like, yeah. Anyway, thank you for that. And also I just wanted to add that one of the things that I started to research a little bit, going back into being in physical space with especially movers again, because we're highly physical. And I feel like one of my favorite things about being a mover and a maker is being able to be intimate with the other people in the room, whether that means that we've had a conversation about what that intimacy is, or whether we haven't. And I feel like growing up in the dance field or any kind of like movement or maker field, there is this sort of like understood that as long as we're all on the same page, we can like do what we want to do. We can explore, we can experiment, we can improvise. And I started realizing that like that just wasn't the case. And also realizing that there are a ton of communities around the world where that is not the case. The understood safety and the understood intimacy and experimenting and improvisation, that is that's secondary to safety and health and fill in the blank. So I started researching polyamorous communities. And I was like, this is a really beautiful way to bring in pleasure, the pleasure conversation about being with multiple people at one time, even though like our dance community might not be together sexually, in that same way. But really the research of it is like the intimacy and the tenderness and the care in which those like relationship and social and communal contracts are made. And I would say, like, I think I even read one of them was like, oh, the relationship contracts we have in polyamorous communities, it's really like an invitation. And it's like, we invite you into this community as long as you're able to be in the community in a way that we need to feel safe, and that we need to feel taken care of, and that we need to feel like we can thrive. And so I just was amazed by like, this has been happening for hundreds of years, these like polyamorous communities, and also in cultures and that are practicing this. There have been practicing it for a long time. So I don't know, I just was like, it was really eye-opening to me in the ways that even as movers, we depend on each other. Like we depend on each other's physical selves so much. And sometimes I think it's unspoken that we rely on one another. And I think everyone's kind of touched on that in a way, but I've found myself really having to come into spaces with those clearly laid out guidelines and criteria of how to move forward, because I don't want to take for granted that intimacy or that safety, especially. And like the way that we care for another when we all talk about it, like that's the thing, like Lame, just hearing you say that, it's like, that's so beautiful. We never get a chance to talk about how we care for one another. Because I think we do. I think we all do as movers and makers and dancers.
Yeah,
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Just the last thing you said, like how we never get to talk about it, but we do. But like usually it always takes something tragic for like something to bring about conversation. You know what I mean? Or something drastic like someone's funeral. Now everyone wants to pour out their condolences and what they think about the person. Or people say like, give me my flowers while I'm alive, not when I'm dead. Like and things like that. And just someone said taking things for granted. So I think that it brought an abundance of like gratitude back into most people's lives who are conscious and aware and operate that way. But like yeah, just in life there's always that tension and release, and there's the conflict and then resolution, and it's just was one that was so massive that the energy of the whole like world was feeling it. Like you could really feel it everywhere, and I think it brought a lot of people back to their senses. And we were talking about access in another choreographer's work, and just access to what we love, access to our family, access to food, access to resources was all just kind of shifted. And so I think during that time, I was able to gain more access to my personal self. You know what I mean? Because we're always giving, 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 and going, like everyone has been saying. So I think that there's some gratefulness in that too. The world just kind of saying, the universe being like, stop, slow down, everybody halt. Think about your stuff, think about your life, even though it's unfortunate what's going on. Like a lot of people were able to be more introspective and come back and bring a new awareness and a new sensitivity and care and concern for these things that we love and care about, and also get closer to your family at home, like as close as you can and for as long as you can, but anyway, but yeah, so just gratitude and a renewed awareness, I think. So a lot of times, even as dancers, when we choreograph, like a lot of times we're coming from these experiences of like tragic pain, hurt, and like rebirth, renewal, growth, resurrection, whatever. So this is just a part of that cycle, and accepting it and having accepted it doesn't allow me to live in so much like dismal distress about it, because all the gifts and goodies that come out of it are good. So I hope that everybody's like on the other side, at least enough that we're like on the other side, I know there's still some lingering fears and things going on. So yeah. But bye COVID. for now. For now. That's it. Danielle, Alondra, Kayla. I'm calling you out. I want to hear about you and hear from you and know what you've been experiencing.
Yeah, so when the lockdown started, I was still in school. I was in my last year of college at New York School of the Arts in Miami. So it kind of seemed like my whole expectation of like my dance career was like tumbling down to pieces because nobody knew what was gonna happen. Everything was really uncertain, and so I had to cope with that first, and then realize that things could happen. So when the Zoom started, it felt like a beam of light, like this can happen. And it just felt like there were so many possibilities after the lockdown started because of the different ways we were coming together, although it had to be on Zoom. And then when we came into the studio, it felt even more glorious because, yeah, now I'm back in the space that I was, you know, in every day, just like how someone mentioned, I was on the go. I was like a hamster on a wheel, just on the go. And yeah, but it also felt sort of like overwhelming to come into the space because being in lockdown, I was with my grandmother and I was pretty secluded and isolated. And I just kind of felt like I didn't want anybody to uh, come in contact with me. And if I was infected with something, or like, cause I just didn't have enough knowledge. So it was a little bit overwhelming because I was like, okay, what kind of precautions do I take? I want to keep everybody safe. I want to keep dancing. I want to keep this space as safe as possible. So yeah, that. I think the what I've learned about COVID, or what I've learned about entering the space again in this time in the pandemic, is how careful I want to be, um, so that I can continue to do what I love and protect the people around me. So yeah, I do care deeply for this craft and for the people that do it with me. And yeah, I think it just became a little like precious in that way for me. And now I'm a little bit more. I've always been grateful for what I do and what my body does and what I continue to learn. But yeah, it's a little bit more special. So I guess more love. Yeah.
Um, During the lockdown, I was in my junior year. So, during the whole pandemic, I was in school, and it was very interesting to be in school during the pandemic. I think there was a real lack of communication between the faculty and the students. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, it was very difficult to be in the pandemic during school. I just, like Melissa said, it was very hard dancing in my studio apartment with these concrete floors. And yeah, as a dancer, I needed the community. And even when we were going in person, there was still that distance, obviously, that you had to keep. So I just felt, I'm very introverted, so I don't like to speak out a lot. But yeah, it was very unbalanced, I would say. And then after I graduated, Adele thankfully invited me to be the guest artist, which I was very thankful for, because there still wasn't a lot of auditions happening and I didn't really know what to do because I'm originally from Canada. So I was like, should I go back home now or later? But yeah, it was a whole mix. I'm still trying to figure out how to be in tune with myself. So yeah.
I think most people described a lot of the sensations and the feelings that were coming up during this whole past year and a half of being outside of the studio space and then kind of moving back into the studio space and moving into this virtual square that we're all participating inside of and having performances in these squares and in the virtual realm. Yeah, just a lot of different ways that we are involved in like structures and rules. And I think moving back into the studio is just getting to know like what are the rules that we're following, what are the rules that we're speaking out, and what are like the unspoken rules. I think for me the biggest thing was like space and touch, which people have mentioned. We're just so conditioned to be so close to one another as dancers. Like we're so comfortable with like touching one another and hugging each other all the time, and there's this comfortability of the physical body that we then had to like step back from and be like, okay, everyone keep the distance. We also couldn't see our whole face. So communicating with just like our eyes. Yeah, it was just what we're relearning these rules and integrating them into our new reality, which I think actually helps with communication and just being super vocal. What are you comfortable with? What feels good to you? Keeping that line of communication really open moving forward.
I just want to add real quick on the top of like a finding a presence and then finding now. I realized that it's just dance in some way. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like being late to like a rehearsal, being late to like a teaching a class because of a traffic, end of the world. But then during the lockdown, and I'm thinking it's just dance, and then acknowledging privilege during this time, during the time, right? So yes, I love being here. I love finding presence, but then I find ease afterwards. Okay, like I needed to take back a little bit and then say it's just dance. So that was the biggest lesson learned too.
I've been I've been really quiet, but I've been marinating all these thoughts and ideas, and I agree with all of you. And it was a scary time, and I think that it has taught us so much. Like technology, we've advanced. Like we're on a Zoom meeting right now, and having gratitude for that, and being grateful for the hardships to get us as a society to keep moving up, and thinking of it that way has been also a thought of mine. But also, Lamus has been so grateful with the space, and throughout the season, making it a safe space. And I remember just getting to, coming back to the studio and being like, are we supposed to be here? Like, is this okay? And having those feelings, but then, being 6 feet apart in like X's and squares. And it was so weird. And we learned pieces through the Zoom platform. So like, I was like, holy cow, like we can do this. We can still do this. We're doing it. And just that in itself for me kept me going. And I'm so grateful for it. When COVID had hit, I was just finishing my apprenticeship with the company, and I was hungry. Like I was like, girl, like let's go. Like I'm ready. And then boom. And then I was like, and so, having that again taken away from you and going into an opening night and then shutting down, it was such a huge realization that yes, we can't take nothing for granted. And, like this isn't forever. You don't know what tomorrow will bring. And having a humbleness, with like a sense of humbleness that came with that, definitely washed over me. And yeah, I mean, I am very grateful for all the things. But yeah, I don't know. It is very cool though to have had the opportunity to have technology at our fingertips and continue. And it showed, like we had done National Water Dance and we were performing like virtually. And I was like, oh my gosh, like we're artists. We can do anything. Like we can do anything. And I was like, nothing's going to stop us. We're just going to keep going. And yeah, I'm just super grateful. I'm glad that hopefully we're at the tail end. And I'm so glad to meet you all. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is incredible. I mean, this has already brought us to where we are, right? I thought this was, I don't know. There's so much, y'all. This was beautiful. Thank you for these offerings. And thank you for sharing what you all have shared about your experiences. It's incredibly insightful. And I think about the intimacy that in some ways has been given. I was thinking choreographically about how when I was talking to Eric Fliss at South Miami-Dade to try and convince him that we could come back into rehearsal, I said, well, what if I allow the pandemic to choreograph this work? What if I keep them 6 feet apart in a pink parade? Will you let me do that? And then over time, that can get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And just the one of our final rehearsals recently, and this is one of the works we'll be presenting in September. I think it was Kayla or somebody when we were talking at the end about what your cravings were, you know, in this work, and feeling like, you know, we'd been so kind of scripted and things had to be a really specific way and kind of controlled in this way. And then someone was like, we haven't touched each other. We haven't been close. And it just like hit me so hard, that feeling. And then that is ultimately, that craving is what led this sort of collective decision and their work from the dancers to say, this is where we have arrived. This is where we are. We want to come together in this way. And it was just beautiful. There's just so much more to say. Hopefully we can have another one of these. I've actually really loved this so much. I mean, I feel like I'm just going to hang up and like sob and laugh and reflect and write poetry and I don't even know what. This was beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you all so much for this. And thank you to Annie.
Thank you so much to all of our participants. Thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability, and letting us have a little peek behind the scenes into your process and what makes you all you. I know I cannot wait for these performances, and it's just a joy to get this little peek behind the curtain at the process. So thank you so much for this. With that being said, we do hope that you all who are watching at home come out and see the dancers in action. We have some tickets available at the South Miami-Dade Cultural Arts Center for our in-person performances, September 10th through September 12th. Tickets are available at smdcac.org. We look forward to seeing you there. Thank you, everyone.